Hi, I'm Chris Barber.
I'm Coleman Glenn.
I'm Grant Schnarr.
I'm Andy Dibb.
I'm Scott Frazier.
I'm Ray Silverman.
All right. Are you ready to solve all the world's problems?
I am.
We sat down with different Swedenborgian ministers to address the most powerful philosophical and religious questions of all time, ranging from biblical contradictions to romance to the meaning of life. Welcome to Big Spiritual Questions. This time, we explore why bad things happen to good people.
I think this is one of the hardest questions about if God is loving, if God is good, why do bad things happen?
Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? I don't know.
Why do bad things happen to good people? Well, bad things happen to bad people, and bad things happen to good people. Bad things happen.
I guess when you talk about this subject, I want to say, however people explain why bad things happen, it's not like it's going to solve the problem. I mean, people are, no one's going to go, oh, is that the answer? Oh, good, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that's why bad things happen. No, it just helps with the pain. It helps with the pain. It helps give us understanding, but it doesn't necessarily take away our grief. I've actually heard people tell me that when something bad has happened to them, that ministers or religious people have shown up at their door and said, well, we have to accept God's will. And, that just makes me sick. I think a lot of people it would make sick. That's not God's will. It's not God's will that people suffer. Is God love or not? Can't be both. God is love itself. He doesn't want people or make people suffer. And I think, so that's the first thing, is to really recognize this isn't God.
There's a difference between what God wills and what God permits or allows. And there's been a lot of terrible things, and you'd say, how could God allow that? Well, that's the hardest part of this question, Why does God allow the terrible suffering?
Clearly he knows. I think he knows. Obviously he knows. He tells us in the Word why. He tells us that bad things happen in this world because he loves us enough to respect our freedom, to allow us to make bad things happen.
For one thing, believe what he cares about most deeply is that he can be in a relationship that people freely choose. And if people are going to freely choose whether they want to respond to his love, they also have to be free to choose not to. And that means sometimes free to choose hurting other people.
Not very comforting to think about that. But there is something reassuring in that God loves my freedom so much and your freedom so much that he'll let you falter. He'll let you make some mistakes that maybe hurt other people. He'll let you choose malice even, because he loves you enough to preserve your freedom and to let you be you. I mean, that's what it's all about, is that we freely choose to be us. If he were to force us or nudge us in ways that took away our freedom, then what would we be but his little robots in this world, his little automata running around and just doing his bidding? What kind of creation would that be? I think of the story of the prodigal son, very famous story, the son who goes off and wastes his inheritance and then comes home and is received with open arms and with love by the father. The Lord hates to see us go, hates to see us stray, hates to see us hurt, and loves to see us come home, but he can't see us come home. He can't see us choose him without leaving us in freedom to walk away in the first place. The sad reality is that walking away sometimes looks like bad stuff happening to good people in this world. In the big picture, I think he'll sort it out. But in the short term, it doesn't feel good at all.
The origin of evil begins, or bad things, begins with people themselves. It started in the dawn of humanity when people began to turn away from God and focus in on themselves. That developed in them a sense of selfishness. And from selfishness came all the problems that we know of in this world: greed, arrogance, pride, prejudice, all those things that we have that come in this world start from selfishness. Examine any war, any conflict in this world, and it will have its roots somewhere in selfishness. You say, well, how does that help with viruses who knock us for a loop and cause us to get sick so that we die? Why do the tectonic plates of the earth shift and cause earthquakes and tsunamis? What those are things in the natural world that are part of the way God created the natural world. But if he had to interfere, if he had to say, well, I'm going to stop the tectonic plates from shifting so there'll be no more earthquakes and no more tsunamis and no one will get killed, the natural world wouldn't function. And he needs the natural world to function in order for the spiritual aspects of people's lives and ultimately for the spiritual world to survive. So ultimately, God doesn't cause any evil at any point. He allows evil to happen against his will if he sees that he can bring some level of goodness out of it.
Again, be careful, because if somebody's gone through something really, really bad, when you say, well, there's a reason for everything, again, it sounds like, well, God did this to you for a reason, but that's not how God works. I think the idea is there, and we'll go right to it. One of the things is when something bad happens to people, God is so powerful, has the power of love, that he can turn everything, if we let him, at some point to good. Now, I know that's really hard to accept when something has just happened. I completely admit that I've had that with myself, where, well, God turns everything to good. That's hard to believe when you're going through something.
But if we learned from it, if it was part of the refinement of our soul, then it served a worthy purpose. Helen Keller once said, "I thank God for my limitations, for without them, I would have never found my work, myself, or my God." So that's a pretty strong statement from someone who is blind and deaf and can hardly speak, triple handicap, and she thanked God for those limitations. Again and again, if you look at documentaries of people who've been through horrible things, they'll report that it was the greatest thing that ever happened to them. Why? Because it shook them free from their strict clinging and attachment to physical life and let them understand that there was something deeper. You need a little adversity to grow, and sometimes there's a lot of adversity and you can still grow through it. Your job in this life, our job in this life, is to grow. It's not about how much we gain, how much we acquire, or how easy our life is. It's always how much we've grown. So in some ways, adversity is a blessing.
Yeah, so people often ask, why do bad things happen to good people? And yet that kind of question regarding, hurricanes and wars and things like that, car accidents, really important. But I'm wondering if maybe the issue is, why do bad things happen at all? Or why do we ever have a bad day? What if you really are in a bad mood one day? What do you do about that? Now, the reality is, we get into a bad mood, we get angry or sad when we don't get what we want. Doesn't mean we shouldn't want it, but it means we got to consider what it is that we want. Now, we go through life as a default setting thinking that life is about discovering what we want and then going and getting it. Turns out that doesn't work so well. It's counterintuitive, but a better approach is to see what we've got and then want that, because that puts us in control of our happiness. Now, easier said than done. If you have a day where you have a fender bender, it's probably going to ruin your day. But is it going to ruin your week, your month, your season? There's a story where Jesus Christ approaches a guy who's been lying infirm for 37 years, something like that. And he asks the guy, do you want to be made well? And the guy doesn't answer. The guy says, no one will help me. You can hear the learned helplessness. So if you're in a bad mood, short term, maybe there's nothing you can do. You could achieve perspective, remember what's important. We know all those things. But if you find yourself persistently unhappy, and leaving aside the chemical element for a second, because that's very real, the question is, what is it that you want that you're not getting? And more powerfully, should you want it? If you conclude you should want it, then make a plan and go get it. But often we figure out, oh yeah, I shouldn't want that. Is your day ruined if you don't get the last word in a debate? Is your day ruined if you don't get a parking spot closer than your coworker? Is your day ruined because you didn't get as much food? See, these are things we can control. Now, it might not end your bad day this week, but you might find you have fewer bad days than you used to.
This isn't an easy topic to talk about, but that's no reason not to try. We also don't know everything, so please, comment below and let us know what you think. And if you're interested in talking with other people about spiritual topics like this, consider heading to grandhumanproject.org and finding a group that seems right for you. Thanks again for watching, and stay well.